Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our ADT session today with Mr. Gavijola. Our topic today is about data leads and setting appointments, right? Working data leads and setting appointments, all very important for helping us grow our business. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for joining us. And I am going to turn it over to you, Steve, and you'll be able to share your screen if you'd like.
Okie dokie.
I'm going to continue to monitor the chat and let people in.
Okay, so did everyone see my screen okay?
I can see it.
All right, so the topic today is about working internet leads, or what we call now data leads. It's about setting appointments on those leads. We are not going to talk live transfers. If you want to talk live transfers, call Justin. He's our live transfer expert. So this is just actually learning how to work internet leads. And I think these leads are becoming more and more important because there are deals in internet leads. Now, when internet leads first came out several years ago, they were very, very high quality. Um, but they are things that you can use right now to build your business. And, we're going to talk a little bit about how health markets can get these for a drastically reduced cost. And we're going to talk why buying these leads, even if they're not sales right now, can help build your business in the future. So what I want to do is I want to start off with just understanding what internet leads or data leads are, because I have found as a sales leader and also as a rep talking with a lot of new agents, a lot of people's business can rise or fall based on their attitude about internet leads. Okay. And so what I want to do is I want to kind of establish what they really are and how we should think about them to kind of get rid of the head trash that seems to come up with data leads. So the very first thing they are is they're an inexpensive way to build your database. Now, what do I mean by that? Health Markets uses their size and scope to go negotiate with these lead vendors, and they can get leads for 2, 4, $8. Where if you're an independent agent, you're getting these same leads for $20 to $30. So if you think they suck at $2, imagine if you paid $20 for the same sucky lead. Okay. But the nice thing about this is, guys, the what we should be doing right now, and again, if you'll remember when we talked about the modern buyer's journey, the very first thing we talked about is when someone has a need, the first place they're going to go is the internet. Now, some people may fill out things to have someone call them. Some people may search you on the internet, but we just got to come to grips with the fact that the internet is a very, very important part of our business. Okay. And so the marketing of the 21st century is not cold calling. It's building a database. That's all it is. You want to create a presence and you want to build a database. You want to create a presence so people can find you. You want to build a database that you can start marketing on a routine, consistent basis, because just because someone doesn't need you right now doesn't mean they're not going to need you 2 years from now. Okay. And so all this is doing by us, and again, leveraging what the company gives us with the lead dollars and stuff, is we want to get to the point where we start building a database so we have people to market to all the time. Okay. Now, again, we don't know when people are going to have trigger events or anything like that, but if I can start building a database where, now that we've made the migration from VanillaSoft, I have 6,000 names in my database. It used to be like 30,000. I'm actually kind of glad they got rid of a bunch of the crap in there. But what that means is if I have this database, I have someone that I can market to every single day. And I like the fact that VanillaSoft gives me the ability to do that, because I don't have to go look for the people. They just pop up on my screen on VanillaSoft. Okay. And so By looking at this as I'm investing in building I'm not buying leads. I'm building a database. That's one way I think that really helped me change my focus is, you know, building a data. I mean, every single business out there, they have a database. That's how we need to start looking at this. We need to start looking at, you know, what can I do to build my database? I can buy internet leads. I can take live transfers. I can go find business cards. But my whole strategy needs to be building a database so I have people to market to on a consistent basis. Because the hardest thing for us to do is, especially new reps, is finding people to talk to. Where if I always have someone that I can, I don't know if they're going to respond or not, but I need to build my database so that I have people to talk to. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing is data leads are available daily. Now, why is that important? A lot of you know my story. When I started back in 1997, there was no such thing as the internet. There was no live transfers. And so how the business worked back then was, I mean, some of you guys are like, man, it's hard to get this started. Think about getting 5 to 10 telemarketed leads that told you, I told those people I didn't want anything, and maybe a couple direct mails, and that's the only lead you got for a whole week. 7 to 10. Which is why I talk a lot about marketing my business, because I had to when I first started. I didn't have a choice. So what happens now is, now that we have data leads and now that we have live transfers, that's a blessing because we have people coming to us every single day. We have at least opportunity. I like to call them opportunities. Okay? I don't know if they're, I don't call them, say, it's just, I have an opportunity to maybe work with somebody, okay, in the form of an internet lead, a live transfers. But the problem with that also is, because they're available daily, I think it stunts a lot of people's growth because people don't learn to go out and be a lead creator. They don't learn to generate their own leads. They kind of just sit at their computer all day waiting for things to come in. And I'm sorry, guys, that's going to stunt your growth unless you're a person that's, I'm going to invest, because there are a lot of people in our company nationwide. They invest a lot of money in leads. They invest a lot of money in live transfers. That's their strategy. I'm going to spend a lot of money. I'm going to pull in a lot of leads, a lot of live transfers, and I'm just going to sit and call these people all over the country. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. That's what primarily the insurance model is. But I think the thing you'll find in the Jessup territory is we don't have a single top agent that does that. We all have learned to create our business locally, organically. And I think the reason why is, again, Silas and I both started before there was an internet. And so we just learned some things that we're passing on to you guys because we had to out of survival. And so my philosophy is, man, if I can merge both, if I can become a lead generator, if I can pull some live transfers, if I can get data, I just have a lot more people to call. I have a lot more leads to work. And so you got to kind of look at it strategically as, you can either put all your eggs in the lead basket and spend a ton of money. You can be a hybrid like myself. I'm going to buy some leads, but I'm also going to generate my own. Or we have people on the team, they don't even buy leads anymore. It's all referral. It's all, and there's nothing wrong with any one of those guys. But I think as a new person, you got to have all three. And then eventually you're going to hit a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to go this direction or this direction. And that's okay, because that gives you flexibility. That gives you the ability to run the business the way you want to run your business. So keep in mind they are available daily, but if all you're doing is working leads, you're at the mercy of leads. Okay. Now, another thing we need to understand about these leads is, what are they? They're just pieces of information. They're neither good nor bad. Guys, we talked about Sandler and the attitude triangle. If you're walking around looking at these things as good or bad, it's going to stunt your growth. They're just pieces of information. Some people are looking, some are not, but I'm not going to get all wrapped. These leads suck. No, I mean, if you're going to say that, look in the mirror and say, I suck. Because there's people that can take bad leads and write deals, and there's great leads that the agent sucks and they can't write it. So let's just get that out of our vocabulary. This is just a strategy. It's one of many strategies I'm going to use to build my business. And I'm going to reach out, I'm going to qualify these people out to see if they're looking, see if it's a mistake. And if it isn't, they're looking great. If they're not, that's okay. I'm building my database, which is ultimately what I wanted to do. And so to me, the only lead that's a bad lead is a lead that has a bad email address. Because once you get past the 30 days, you can't call them anymore. So, I mean, if you have an address, you can direct mail people. But I mean, the bottom line is the only thing I consider the only lead I quote unquote close is when it comes into VanillaSoft and says it's got a bad email. I just delete it out because I can't call them anymore. I'm not going to mail them. So they'll have to call me to reopen the deal. Okay. Now, some people are looking for help and some are not. We got to understand how the lead business works. The lead business, like I said, when internet leads first came out, they worked high quality. We used to close like 30 to 40%. Okay, because people could buy insurance year round. And so a lot of people went to the internet, they put in their things, the lead came in. But what happened in 2014 is when the Affordable Care Act was implemented, the government basically said most people are going to get their insurance in a very small window. Which again, if you look at the leads during the open enrollments, the quality tends to go up a little bit because of that trigger event. But do you think these lead companies need to make money in January, February, March? And so they started to do some things that were not so good. So a lot of them would create these websites that look like you could put your information in and you're going to get a quote. When in reality, it was gathering information and then they spawn these leads out to 40, 50 agents nationwide. Okay. Some companies used to do things like if you fill out this survey, you can win an iPad. Next thing you know, you're getting calls from mortgage brokers, home agents, insurance agents. And then some companies just recycle leads, and every once in a while you're going to call someone and ask for them, and they're going to like, they died a year ago. It just happens. Okay. So as long as we understand that, it's just the business. It's nothing personal. It's just these companies need to survive too. Now, the nice thing about health markets is we have actually fired some lead vendors that were kind of taking this over the top. And so again, we just need to understand that's how the business works. Some people are looking, some people aren't, and that's okay. The other thing we need to understand is in most cases, the people are getting bombarded by calls from agents all over the country, so they're probably not going to be very nice. Okay? Don't take it personal. They're yelling at you because you're the 50th person, not the first person. Okay? You're going to get a lot of voicemails when you call internet leads. Why? Because how many of you answer a phone number that you don't recognize? Or how many of you let it go to voicemail? I know I do. Okay. Matter of fact, unless it's my wife or kids, I never answer the phone. Leave a message. I'll get back to you when I have the time. Unless it's Silas, sometimes I have to listen to him, get my marching orders, but even him, I'll text him back. I'll call you in a few minutes. So, all right. So again, we understand the business. We understand people are getting bombarded. They're not going to have a great attitude when they talk to us. It's not a big deal. Okay. Now, here's one of the biggest reasons why I feel you need to buy internet leads to build your database, because this is my primary reason. Yes, I want to try and find health deals and all that, but these leads become my prospecting list into Medicare. These, because here's the bottom line, guys. It's very hard to market in the Medicare space. About the only thing you can do is direct mail or email. You can't call them. They have to initiate contact. And so what I have found is by buying these, and again, I don't buy Medicare leads. I don't buy the only leads I buy is health insurance leads. But what ends up happening is these become my mailing list and my emailing list into people turning 65. Because I've figured out how to find the leads in VanillaSoft. And then once you kind of set up how you want to work these leads, they just pop up telling you what to do next. So, but this is a great prospecting because again, I know there's people they buy T65 leads. I know there's people that buy turning 65 lists. Nothing wrong with that, but my God, I'd rather spend $2 on a name than $20 on a name because that's what it is when you go buy these outside services. And so my literal reason for building a database is yes, I want to try and find people in the future, but more importantly, that this is my Medicare feeder system. So before we move on, Sandra, is there any questions? Does anyone have any questions on anything I've gone over so far? And if it's like, Steve, can you show us how to find it on VanillaSoft? Yes, I can. Schedule a time. I'll show you that. I'm not doing it now.
Yeah. The only
Because
thing
most
I
people on
was,
here aren't doing Medicare anyway.
yeah, no questions in the chat, but I'm wondering if you'll maybe go into what's the difference between third party and health markets branded leads.
Yes. So third party leads are just, we buy them from a vendor. Okay. Health markets branded leads, it's when people find health markets on the internet because health markets does their own advertising. Health markets, sometimes you see commercials where there's an 800 number. When live transfers fall through the cracks, they come in as what are called inbound leads. We have quoter leads. That's someone who looked at the health markets website. So health markets leads are coming specifically from things that health markets did. Third party leads are coming from vendors that we contract with. And I have both turned on.
Thanks, Steve.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I will tell you guys, health markets leads come across just as quote unquote crappy as everything else. I mean, you'll get inbound leads. I never did anything. Well, you did, otherwise I wouldn't have had it. Quoter leads, I never went to a health market. Yeah, you did. Otherwise it wouldn't have been generated. But do you guys remember lie, steal, lie, and hide? Okay, but again, I just want all different avenues opened up to give me names and numbers to contact. That's all I'm doing. So again, I set it up to where I'll get 5 leads a day from third party, 5 leads a day from health markets. And so, you can kind of set it up however you want, but neither one's better than the other. There's deals in both. There's leads that aren't looking right now in both. So just take it for a grain of salt. Okay. Now, here's what I have found the psychological impact of data leads. This is what I have seen people struggle with in all my years of doing this. So when people buy leads or even take live transfers now, I think the same thing's happening. Most reps look at these leads as someone who needs help. And the reality is most of the people are not looking for help. Again, Justin, can you unmute for a second?
Yeah.
Do you ever get live transfers where they're not looking for insurance, they're looking for Medicaid or something like that?
Absolutely. 1095s.
They're looking for free cheese.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, you're going to have this with internet leads. You're going to have this with live transfers. Some people are looking. Now, again, when it comes to the internet leads, the reality is most people are not looking for help. Why? Because companies recycle leads. That's okay. I just bought a name for $2 that I can start working now until the email goes away. Okay. So again, we just need to understand that people go in and they buy 10 leads and 3 of them are disconnected and 7 of them tell flag height. That doesn't make you want to go buy another 10 leads. Okay. So there's all of a sudden this psychological impact. Because some of the people are getting bombarded by calls, their response to us is not very pleasant, or they're just not going to answer the phone. That's the reality, guys. And when this happens, most reps take this attack personal, or they get frustrated by all the voicemails and it starts to affect them mentally. The reason is when we have expectations of one thing and the opposite happens, negative emotions start to take over. When we repeatedly have these negative emotions, it creates what's called call reluctance. When call reluctance occurs, we stop doing the activity that's causing the negative emotions. We quit buying leads. We dial the phone less and less, and ultimately the business starts to suffer. Yes.
So that psychological impact can be real. And that's why we advise people don't do just one aspect of marketing. Don't just do leads. Do other things to help build your pipeline, build your database, build your reputation.
Yep. Now, I will also tell you that the people that are impacted the most by this are the people that do the least amount of self-generating leads. It's funny that in all the years I've been doing this, the people that complain about the leads the most are the ones that don't market their own business. When you market your own business, you're getting referrals and stuff. You don't really think about the internet. It's like, yeah, some did, some don't, no big deal. Because I got other people, I mean, I got Google's coming in, I got referrals. People are responding to my marketing, all that kind of stuff. And so that's where I find the people who have the most issues with this is they're just sitting waiting for things to happen. They're not making things happen themselves. And it starts to affect them mentally. And that's ultimately what makes them leave the business because they can't survive. They don't have enough money to buy the volume of leads that you do to survive that way. And so they're kind of stuck in this no man's land of I can't do this. But yet they don't take the time to go out and generate their own leads. Okay. So the reason I bring up call reluctance is there was a time when Mr. Steve Cavajola, that was my definition. I was lead dependent. Whenever I knew I was going to have to make calls, I would find anything. I'd go clean toilets before I would dial the phone because I hated it. I hated how they treated me. I hated that nobody was looking. I got frustrated with all the voicemails, but I wasn't really marketing my business that much. And again, some of you know my story that early on in the business thing that changed is I had the talk with my wife where she told me that she didn't think I could get her home, blah, blah, blah. Some of you have heard that story. But what it did is it changed my life in the fact that I started to learn how to be a lead creation expert. And I've never stopped. That was in 1998. Okay. But when the internet leads came, I started to get lazy like most people. Because again, keep in mind, the first 5, 10 years of this business, there was no internet. Okay. There was no email and all this kind of stuff. It was like, the phone was attached. If you had one, if you were rich enough to have one of these, it was about as big as a mortar brick with a big antenna. So it was just a different world that I came up with. And so when internet leads came, guess what I quit doing? I quit marketing my business. I became lead dependent. And I went through a dark time in my business where I struggled again a little bit. But what happened, it's probably going on, I don't know, 7, 8 years now. I totally changed my attitude about internet leads. And here's what I did. The first thing I did is I started to look at working data leads as an activity to help me to get my 500 to 700 points for the week because I get points for dialing, texting, emailing, and leaving message. And so when we really started focusing on this 500 to 700 points things on the PTS, because we've always had a tracker, but we actually had an agent that gave us this idea of assigning points to things. And that's when we Silas and I were like, let's switch over to this. And so the first thing that working data leads became is I quit looking at it as trying to set appointments. And I started looking at it as just getting points. And so when I get a lead, when I text the lead, I get a point. When I email that lead, I get a point. When I dial the phone, I get a point. When I leave a message, I get a point. So one lead gets me 4 points. Okay. And then when I text it the next day, it's another point. So it just became a point thing to me to where it was like no longer did I get caught up on what happened, did they tell me to fly a kite or did they yell at me or no matter what happened, when I dialed the phone, I got a point. Okay, so if they told me take me off your blinking list, guess what? I still got a point. Okay. When I text them, email, and all of a sudden it started changing my attitude where I quit worrying about what they were going to do. And I started worrying more about what I was going to do, which is how many people were going to get my website. Okay, that's all it is. How many people? I can text it to them, I can email it to them, I can leave a message with my website on it. Regardless of how, if they answer or not, I was building my business by getting my website out. So that's the first thing I changed. Second thing is I went into the call assuming they didn't need my help. See, what a lot of people do when they call leads now, they assume they're looking, and their approach is something like, hey, Jim, this is Steve Cavajola with Health Markets. It looks like you're looking for some help on health insurance. Call to see. I don't need no freaking health insurance. Take me off your blinking list, right? You're the 50th person to call me. And that's like, ugh, we don't like that. And so I started to realize, okay, as these more and more of these leads probably weren't looking, I just assumed everybody was not looking. And so when they told me they weren't looking, I had no negative reaction at all because I got exactly what I was looking for. Now, the flip side is if they told me they were looking, that creates positive emotions, not negative. So I either am neutral or positive. I'm not neutral or negative, which is how most people look at it. So just changing this focus of most of these leads I'm going to call, they're probably not going to need my help. I'm probably going to get their voicemail, which again is the next thing. When I get all that stuff, I'm getting what I was expecting. So again, the positive is they are looking or someone actually answered the phone. That's actually, even if they don't want, that's a positive reaction because at least I have an opportunity now to see if they are looking. Okay. So I look at it as an activity. I assume they're not going to need my help. I'm assuming it's going to go to voicemail. But then when I talk to someone, I'm not trying to set an appointment initially. I'm qualifying the lead to see if it's a mistake. Again, I'm from Sandler. We've already talked about this. I'm qualifying out. Okay. I'm trying to see if this is legit or not. And if they tell me they're not looking, it's what I thought. They tell me they are looking, then I will qualify them to see if they want to go through my process. Now, not every person that responds to me that they're looking do I work with. Okay. My process is if you want me to help you, we're going to meet face to face the first time. Now, that could be you're going to come to my office. That could be I'm going to come to you, or that could be we're going to do it virtual. But guys, you guys know how I approach this business. I'm not trying to sell a product. I'm trying to create a relationship. And you can't do it over the phone. Now, live transfers, that's its own little deal. Do what you got to do. We're talking I'm calling internet leads now. I'm calling people who responded to me. My initial appointment is always going to be face to face. Why? Because I want them to get to know me. I want to get to know them. And it's a lot easier to create a relationship with people you actually see. Go ahead, Sandra.
So if you don't have access to meeting with them in person, say at an office, feel free to set up a mutual meeting place like the public library. I've done that before and it worked out very well. A lot of libraries have small little rooms that are very private and it's a neutral place.
Yeah. And I'll talk about how I do that in a little bit. Okay. Now, by changing my attitude, nothing changed about the leads, nothing changed about it. What changed is my attitude changed. And so this approach has freed me from call reluctance because I'm either going to get the answer I was expecting, they don't need my help, or they will confirm they need help and I can qualify them to see if they want to go through my process. So what used to be something that I would do everything in my power to avoid, dialing the phone, is now just something I do every day and I don't even think twice about it. Because I don't have the negative emotions that I used to have before I changed my attitude. So the very first thing you can do to get better on the phones is change the way you think about the phones. Quit looking at the phones as an appointment setting tool. You're gonna let yourself down because most of the time we dial the phone, we don't set appointments. Look at it as a marketing tool and look at it as a qualifying tool. As you interview these people to see if you want to work with them, not the other way around. When I talk to people, I'm not trying to earn their trust in business. I'm interviewing them to see if I want to work with them. Now, as a new person, because I know some of the new people that just came out of trainings, initially you want to get to the point, you go see anybody, you work with anybody who'll give you a chance just to practice. But when you start getting up and have some sales under your belt, you want to start getting selective on who you see so you're not wasting your time. Okay? And you'll learn to recognize who the time wasters are and who they're not. Okay? Because again, here's what I found. If someone's not willing to meet with me face to face, they're probably not that serious. They want you to, again, remember lie, steal, lie, and hide. What do they want from you? Jim, they want you to be an unpaid consultant. Go do all the work. I don't want to commit to anything. You do the work, and then I'll decide if we're going to do anything. Nope. The way I run my business is I only work with people who want to meet with me face to face. And if they don't want to meet with me, there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with me. They're just not a good candidate for my business. Now, if you want to just meet with anyone who will meet with you, that's fine. But I have found when I started to just having the respect of, hey, if you want my help, there's some certain things that I require of you. First thing is, I want to get together. Why? So I can show you things that no one else is going to show you. Okay? So you know who you're talking to. Now, once I meet with someone the first time, I have some customers we met the first time. For the last 5 years, everything we've done is over the phone because we know each other now. Okay? So that's just my approach to data leads. Is there any questions on this before I move on? Okay. So another thing that has shaped my process, and some of you have seen this before, but a few years ago, I came across this article talking about using texting as your primary mode of communication. And what they found is that 9 out of 10 people read texts they receive within the first 3 minutes. The open rate for a text message is 98%, or the open rate for an email is 20%. The response rate for a text is 45%, email 6%. On average, it takes 90 seconds to respond to a text message. It takes 90 minutes by an email. And text response rates are almost 300% higher than responses from phone calls. So again, I'm sorry, guys, but if you're not incorporating texting into your business, you're falling behind. Why? Because 9 out of 10 consumers say they want business to communicate with them via text, and 89% of consumers say they prefer texting with businesses over any other mode of communication. It's just the reality of it, guys. Texting is the new form of communication. So we can either keep doing what we've been doing. I've always dialed, I'm just going to dial the phone. You're just drifting farther and farther away off course. Texting needs to become your primary mode of communication. And so because of that, I'm going to show you how I work leads. I'm going to show you how I do it in VanillaSoft, how I do results codes, all that kind of stuff, so you can kind of see my process. So this is my first attempt when a lead comes into VanillaSoft. The very first thing I do is I send it a text. I do not call first. I text first. And here's what I text. Not sure if this is for you, but I'm a local agent. I recently received a quote request tied to this number. Is this a mistake, or is someone looking for quotes on health, life, or dental insurance? And then I have my website. Guys, I don't write a 5-page dissertation on who I am, who I'm with. Remember what I'm trying to do initially? I'm trying to qualify the lead to see if it's legit. And I have found the quickest way to do that is when when I send a text, I have a lot of people who respond back before I even get a chance to send an email. It's like instant. Some people say mistake. Stop. Okay, great. What did that do for me? It saved me a bunch of time because now I can just go in and put DVH, which means dental vision hearing, and hit no, which means in 6 months, this lead's going to come up again and I'm going to send them a dental vision email. Okay. But what if they say, yeah, I'm actually looking? Guess just which became my priority phone call. I will call those people instantly. Okay. So the first thing I do is I set, and this is all happening in a sequence. So I send the text, then I go and I send an email. Now, again, we don't have the ability, so I cut and paste the emails in, but I just go into the email, do a blank thing, put it, and this is the thing. The subject is not sure this is for you. Again, the subject line is just to build curiosity. Okay. But again, I'm a local agent. I recently received a quote request tied to this email. Is this a mistake or is someone looking for quotes on health, life, or dental insurance? And then I have my website. See, if they want to check me out, my website can do all the talking for me. My website can tell them who I am. My website can show them that I have almost 200 five-star Google reviews. My website can show them that I do health, life, Medicare, disability, all that kind of stuff. I don't have to do it. My website can do the work for me. Now, the other reason why I like doing this is, do you remember what I told you all the leads I buy are? They're health. But I put life or dental because I've written business off people that were health leads that didn't need health insurance, but they replied back, hey, I'm interested in dental. Hey, I'd like to talk to you about life insurance. So again, the only leads I buy are health, but I'm pitching health, life, or dental to see if they'll respond, because there's people that have health insurance, but they don't have the other two. Okay, so I have drum up business just by incorporating those things in there. But again, the other thing that this approach does, it's a pattern interrupt. Because how do you think most people are approaching these people? It looks like you want help. Here, give me a call, blah, blah. I don't do any of that. Hey, I'm a local agent, which again, why do I put local agent in there? Because I'm probably competing with people all over the country. Now, if they want to know how local I am, they'll have to go to my website, won't they? I don't say I'm from South Bend. No, I'm a local agent. And I recently received a quote request tied to this number. Is this a mistake or is someone looking for quotes? It's personal. It's not salesy. It's just, I'm almost coming across like, I don't even know if this is for you or not. Is it? Is it a mistake or do you need help? Okay. Same thing with the email. And then, so again, literally, I open up the VanillaSoft, there's a lead, I text it, I email it, and then I call. And if I get their voicemail, I leave this message. Hi, this is Steve Cavajola. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm a local agent and this number was sent to me recently. If this is not a mistake and you're looking for some quotes on health, life, or dental, please contact me through my website, localinsuranceoptions.com, or text me at 219-224-3054. Guys, I never ask anybody to call me. Why? Because nobody's going to call a stranger. But can people visit a website? Is texting safer than calling? And so this is my first attempt when a lead comes in. Now, once I'm done, I do a results code. So up in the comments section, I put 2A. That tells me that the next time this lead comes up, I need to do the second attempt. And then I click follow up in 1 day. So a lead comes in, I text it, got a point. I email it, got a point. I dialed it, got a point. I left a voicemail, got a point. 2A, follow up in a day. So that's my first attempt. Then when I see the lead that says 2A, I'll call the lead. I won't leave a message. As soon as I hear their voicemail, I'll just hang up and then I'll send the text. So the first attempt lead, I'm going to text first, then call. Now I'm just going to call first. And if I don't get a hold of them, I'll send them a text. And it's just checking to see if this quote request I received recently was a mistake, or if you wanted quotes on health, life, or dental, please let me know. Okay. In other words, if you want me to quit bothering you, let me know. And then I'll put 3A in the comments, which stands for third attempt. Click follow up in 1 day. Then when I see the third attempt in the thing, I call. I don't leave a message. Then I text, I'm sorry I keep reaching out, but I just need to know if this quote request I received a few days ago is a mistake, or if you do need quotes on health, life, or dental insurance. Do you need help, or should I close your file? Okay. Just, hey, if you want me to quit bothering you, will you please let me know? And then I do FA, which stands for final attempt. And then I click a follow-up in a week. So after the first attempt, follow up in a day. Second attempt, follow up in a day. Third attempt, then I'm going to follow up in a week. Why? Because I want things to simmer down. Because I will tell you that when people are getting bombarded by calls, even if they're looking, a lot of times they're like, I'm not going to answer this. This sucks. And so what I'll do is a week later, I'll send a text. Haven't heard back from you regarding this recent quote request, so I'm reaching out one last time. I understand this request may have been an error, or perhaps you're feeling overwhelmed with calls and messages. If you're still looking, let me know if I can help in any way. I got my website. And I've had people respond back to me and said, Steve, you had no idea how I was getting bombarded. Okay. Yes.
Maggie said in the chat, if you are using the automated text system through VanillaSoft, don't forget to delete their first name because it'll send the text saying, hello, IVR. So make sure does that happen to you, Steve?
No, because I do not, I send my own texts. I don't use the system. I don't do it automated because, as you can see, they're time sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not going to I'm not going to set this up on plug and play. And I'm strategically sending these texts and emails when I want to.
Gotcha. Okay. And if you are using texting through VanillaSoft, just be very careful about how it is going through on, so if it says hello IVR, make sure you're changing it to their name.
Right. Well, and the other thing too, read the text that you can use for the automated. It makes me want to gag.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it says.
They're so salesy that, again, you're just going to blend it. This makes me different, which I don't know if you've understand the whole concept. That's the whole point. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be more personal. I want to be more relational. And so in order to do that, I send the texts and emails personally. Would it be easy just to set it and forget it like a crock pot? Yeah. But I don't have now again, if they get to the point where I can customize my own text and emails and do that, I'll consider it. But for right now, I just do it all manually. Okay. And then I send the email, which says the same thing. And then I do a results code DVH in the comments. And then I click no. And what that means is this lead's going to go dormant for 6 months. But then when it comes back up in the comment section, it's going to say DVH, which tells me, okay, I need to market dental, vision, hearing to them. So as I'm working old leads, I do DVH first, life insurance second, and then we have emails for the enrollments and stuff. So it all depends on the timing of when the lead pops up on what I'm going to do. But again, guys, this is just the systematic approach I've taken that have allowed me to just start working these leads to where I always know what I'm supposed to do because I'm putting in the comment section. I don't tell in the comment section, I don't put what I just did. I always put what I want to do the next time this lead comes up. And I have just found that has made this so much simpler for me because again, it's going to record that I sent a text, that I left a mess. All that's going to be recorded when you disposition it. But I'm always telling VanillaSoft when this lead pops up again, I'm telling myself how I'm going to work the lead. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay. So now let's transition into how I set appointments, and we'll land this plane because you are going to call some leads and people are going to answer. Okay. So I have a 3-step approach that I use when it comes to appointment setting, and I don't go to the next step until the first step has been completed. So the first step is I use a pattern interrupt to qualify out. So Justin, will you unmute and role play with me real quick here?
Sure.
Okay. So let's say I get this lead from Justin. Hi, can I speak to Justin, please?
Yeah, this is Justin.
Hey, Justin, this is Steve Cavajola. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm a local agent with Health Markets, and this number was sent to me recently. Is this a mistake, or is someone looking for health, life, or dental insurance?
I was, but I'm just sick of all the calls.
Okay. Well, did you find what you were looking for?
Uh, not really. There's just too much information.
Okay. Well, I'd be happy to help if you want to get together and go over it. I am local. Whereabouts are you located?
South Bend.
Okay. Well, I'm out of LaPorte. I'm sure you're probably getting calls from Texas and Florida and all that kind of stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, they're from all over the world, I think.
Yeah. Well, again, Justin, when it comes to me, I'm with Health Markets. We're one of the largest independent agencies in the country. Um, I've been helping people locally for over 25 years. Now, since we have access to several of the nation's top rated companies, we usually meet by appointment only so I can make sure we find the right plan for your situation. There is no cost or obligation for my help. I get compensated by the insurance companies if we find something that works for you. So would you be opposed to us getting together for 30 to 45 minutes to explore your options?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, and he may say no, but that's the whole point. Okay. So what I did there is he told me, yes, I'm looking, but I'm being overwhelmed. So what did I do? I felt empathy. Yeah, you're probably getting calls from people all over the country, aren't you? You're in South Bend. Yeah, I'm in LaPorte. Okay. I've been doing this for 20, whatever, guys. It's just, I'm not trying to set an appointment with Justin. I'm trying to see if the lead's legit. Now, Justin, unmute real quick. I'm gonna ask the question again and just tell me it was a mistake. So is this a mistake, or is someone looking for health, life, or dental quotes?
I don't know how I got put on this list. I don't need insurance. My wife doesn't need insurance. We're good.
Yep,
Can you
yeah,
take
you
me off the
probably got put
list?
on a list, but Justin, I'm sorry to bother you. I'll go ahead and close the file on my end.
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Why? Because what's every other agent doing? They're trying to get him to buy something, right? Again, guys, what we want to do is we want to do a pattern interrupt to come across differently. And the thing about it is, when I started taking this approach, the very first thing I say is, I don't say I'm Steve Cavajola with Health Markets, or I'm Steve Cavajola, a local agent. I said, hi, this is Steve Cavajola. I'm sorry to bother you. That does a couple things. First of all, how many agents are calling these people saying, hey, I'm sorry I'm bothering you? But the other thing it does is it creates a brief moment where Justin has to think, Steve Cavajola. Who's Steve Cavajola? Okay. So while he's thinking that, that's what I'm throwing in. I'm a local agent with Health Markets. This number was sent to me. Is this a mistake? Or are you looking for some help? And it's funny because I can hear people's blood start to boil on the other side of the phone sometimes. And then when I say it's a mistake, okay, I'm sorry to bother you. Oh, no problem. I mean, it just totally diffuses the whole situation, guys. You just, again, all this stuff is psychological. This is Steve, because here's what everyone's saying. This is Steve Cavajola. I'm a local insurance agent with Health Markets, and your name came across my desk. I'm just calling to see how we. That's where you're putting the ball in the tee for them to blast you. But when you say, "Hey, this is Steve Cavajola. I'm sorry to bother you," I'll be right with you. Oh, yep, that's okay. I'm sorry to bother you, but this was sent to me recently. Is this a mistake, or do you need help? It just diffuses the whole situation, guys. And if they say it's a mistake or I've already taken care of it, okay, I'm sorry to bother you. If they say I've already taken, well, what did you get? No, you're going to piss them off. Just, okay, sorry to bother you. Move on to the next one. Okay. Now, if they say, yeah, I am looking, okay, I'd be happy to help. Can you tell me what's going on or what you're looking for? Let them tell their story, and then you can move to step two. Now, if it's an inbound lead, in other words, someone calls me, I still do a pattern interrupt to qualify them out. It's like, hey, this is Steve Cavaggiolo with Health Markets. You wanted me to get back to you regarding some insurance options. Do you still need help or do you get that taken care of? Because some people have already taken care of it. But most of the time they're going to say, no, I'm still looking. Okay, well, I'd be happy to help. Can you tell me what's going on or what you're looking for? And just let it go there. Okay. So that's the first thing is do the pattern interrupt qualifying out, see if the lead's a mistake or not. If it's an inbound lead where they've requested you to call them, ask them if they're still looking. Okay, I just found those two things have worked very well. And then if they're not looking, hey, I'm sorry to bother you. If they are looking, I'd be happy to help. Can you tell me what's going on? Okay. Now, once I establish that Justin's looking, again, you heard me say this. Again, I represent Health Markets, which is one of the largest independent agencies in the country, and we've been helping people for over 30 years. Since we have access to several of the nation's top-rated companies, we usually meet by appointment only to make sure we find the best plan for your situation. There is no cost or obligation for my help. I get compensated by the insurance companies if we find a plan that meets your needs. So would you be opposed to us getting together for about 30 to 45 minutes to explore your options? So let's break this down. First of all, I introduce Health Markets as credibility. We're one of the largest independent agencies, and we've been helping people locally for over 30 years. Because that is a true statement. We have. Some of you on this call have been helping people for 30 minutes. Use the fact that we've been here for 30 years to give yourself credibility. Now, since we have access to several of the nation's top-rated companies, we usually meet by appointment only. Why? To make sure we find the right plan for your situation. That's the benefit to meeting with me. There is no cost or obligation for my help. We need to get that on the table right away, guys, because they always think working with insurance people is going to cost them a fee because everything else. So just tell them right up front, hey, look, there's no cost or obligation for my help. I get compensated by the insurance companies, and then set an upfront contract. So would you be opposed to getting together for about 30 to 45 minutes to explore your options? Why do I say that? Because if you just say, would you like to get together, and you schedule an appointment, and then you get there and they say, you got 20 minutes because I got to go pick up my kid from soccer practice, that's your fault. Ask them for the time you think you're going to need. And then when they say, sure, let's get together, and then this goes back to what Sandra said earlier. Great. Would you prefer to meet in person or virtually? Okay, because I already told them we meet by appointment only. Do you want to do this in person or virtually? Now, if you're someone who, if they say in person and you have access to an office, would you like me to visit you or would you prefer to come to my office? I always ask them to go to their place first. Oh, you do that? Yeah. That's why I work a local territory so I can go to them. Now, if you don't have an office, would you like me to come to your home or would you rather meet another location like Sandra talked about? We can meet at a library, a Starbucks, whatever. Okay. And then you schedule the appointment. Now, you are going to have people at this point who are going to tell you they don't want to meet. I'm just looking for quotes. Okay, well, that's perfectly fine. I can send you a text or an email with a link to my quoting site so you can browse your options. Would you like that via text or email? So what am I talking about? Health Sherpa gives us all a URL that we can just send to people and they can do shopping. And if they buy, we get credit for it. But they also notify us when they're shopping so we can follow up with them and say, hey, do you have any questions or anything? You know, I can just shoot them a text. Hey, Justin, I saw you were on my site. Just want to know if you had any questions. If you do, give me a call. Right? Non-threatening. Just, hey, I'm here if you need me. But that's how I close for the appointment. I do it virtually or face-to-face. Their house, my office, virtual. Okay? Now, once we get the appointment, the final thing I do is I start the fact finder. So when I start the fact finder, I fill out page 2. It's just the client details. Who needs coverage? So whoever I talk to is the client. Then I put the spouse, any kids, what's your home address, what's the address if we're meeting somewhere, what's your cell phone, get all, and that's all I gather. I don't need anything else. I don't need to know their health. I don't need to know anything else. I just need to know this, because with this information right here, I can create all the quotes I need, even if they have health problems. Because we have guarantee. Because again, I'm not worried about the health insurance. I'm going to do that in front of them. What I'm worried about is I want to create a subs quote, and I don't need to know if they're healthy or not, because my sub quote is going to have guaranteed issue options in it. And we'll get to that in a couple of weeks when we talk about how I show the plans. But that's my approach on the phone. Step number one, I do a pattern interrupt, qualify the lead. Step number two, I close for an in-person appointment. Step number three is I do the fact finder, just gathering the basic demographics. So any questions on any of this? Because I have found this has worked well for me for the last several years, to where setting appointments is a piece of cake.
But you got good at it by doing probably a lot of not so good ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to suck on the phones. I get scared, panic,
Yeah.
shake. Because
So I know
I
some
don't
people.
mind calling people who talk to me. I hate calling people when I don't know they're looking.
Mm-hmm.
But
And I'd say a lot of people are shaking their heads. They agree with you. It's not necessarily a fun thing to talk to or call people that you don't know, right? But
when you change your attitude about it,
Yep.
it's like, look, I'm not calling. See, we go in with this thing as I'm going in to set an appointment. I'm calling this person to qualify the lead. Once I qualify the lead, then I'm going to qualify to see if they even want to do business the way that I want to do business. And again, if you don't mind doing it up front, I don't care. I'm just saying it's harder and harder to build a relationship. It's harder and harder to sell sub products when you don't have that kind of one-on-one, let me show you some stuff. So it's just, if you want to build a very lucrative business, you guys are going to have to transition to a local practice. That's where you're going to get your referrals. That's where you're going to get your Google reviews. That's where you're going to be able to really start doing this. And then all of a sudden the internet leads become, well, I'll do that when I have some spare time instead of I'm dependent on it. It's a big difference when internet leads, live transfers are just part of what I do. They're not 100% of what I do. And I've just found this approach of working leads the way I'm working to them. It's just, so I work the leads in about a 2-week fashion, and then I just get them out of the way, because I always have leads coming in. So I'm always got first attempt leads. I always got second attempt. I always got third. And it's just a rotation, because as I'm cleaning stuff out, other stuff's coming in.
Yep. So key things I'm taking away from you, Cav, obviously it's all about your attitude and your mindset as you're approaching this aspect of the business. It's just one aspect, one branch, but also you have a process in place and you're sticking to your process. The third thing I'm taking away is that you are tracking everything, and you've made a point to track what you're doing and keeping yourself, and you're keeping yourself accountable. And, you've been doing this a long time, probably longer than anybody else on here, longer than me for sure. And, you're still doing things to embrace the suck, as you say.
Well, to me, it doesn't suck anymore.
No, it's all about attitude and mindset.
I don't mind doing, we're in a business. There's things that you got to do. So again, calling leads is one of the things I choose to do. Some reps don't.
Yeah.
I get Google reviews, I get referrals. But again, the thing that I choose to do is I'm going to make the phones a lot more advantageous.
Yeah.
By
I would say
like everybody else, and just kind of seeing if it's a mistake, seeing if they want to go through my process. And then when I meet with them, we're going to talk about my selling structure of I sell. It's everything I do is systematic, and it just takes all the guesswork out of it.
And if your business isn't where you want it to be, this is an avenue to help reach that, right? And so if you're not comfortable taking calls or doing calls, feel free to reach out to me. We can role play. I think the more and more you do it, the more comfortable you get at it. Not that you'd maybe enjoy it, but it's just getting that experience. And like,
Well, I'll
what
tell
do you
what,
say? How do you get good at it? Make a lot of bad ones.
but and what's going to end up happening is you're eventually things that I used to hate, I enjoy now because I don't have the negative responses.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy the way that I approach the phones right now because it's almost like I'm hunting. I'm interviewing these people to see if they want to work with me. I'm not trying to convince these people that I need to work with them.
Mm-hmm. Great. Any questions for Cav before we wrap up today's session? Perfect. Well, we appreciate you guys being on today. Hopefully you took a few good nuggets away that you can incorporate this week into your building your practice and working leads, and go out there and make it a great week. We are at the beginning of our new sales year, so set some new goals for yourself, work hard, reach out to us if you need something.
And for those of you, if you guys want any of my templates or anything that I cut and paste in, shoot me an email and I'll send it to you.
Great. Thanks, Steve. Thank you, everybody. Have a
All
great
right.
week. Thanks, Steve.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.